So Tony, how did you get the name the Green Mile Man?
The Green Mile Man started with, well, it didn't start. What happened was, I got my first wheelchair. I think I pinched it off one of the old folks. And I started going out and thought, right, that's it then, we're up on this wheelchair. So we got a little bit further, a few more yards. We really struggled in the first place that week. And after that, I got myself a wheelchair. And started to go up a hill, which the hill's on a piece of road called Green Lane near the Abbey in Whitby, very famous Whitby Abbey.
Really steep, really hard to ride even a push bike up there, super steep.
Very steep, yes, very steep. And every day I just did a few more meters, a few more feet, a few more inches sometimes. But just a little bit more every day, just a little bit more. A bit like, the Olympic athlete that kept on lifting a calf until it became a bull. I started to get up to the top, and the lads at the allotment, it was 1 mile from the bottom of the hill to the Abbey itself. So it was on Green Lane, and the lads that were up the allotments, every day they came out and they'd clap me up to the top of the hill. Come on, Bash, come on, a few more metres, come on, a few more metres, lad, come on, you can do it. And they'd push me until I got to the top. And then they kept on saying, oh, the Green Mile Man. And it was exactly how I got my name, was the Green Mile Man, which was 1 mile along Green Lane to the Abbey. It was 1 mile, so it was the Green Mile Man. Thank you, the allotment owners. So that's how it started. Now, once I started climbing hills, I took a liking for it. Because I bet you can't do such and such. And of course, you see, that's a regular rag to a bull with me. If somebody says, I bet you can't, that means, right, watch me. So it became Blue Bank, a bigger hill. It became every hill I could find around my own area, 1 in 3s, Hackness hill climbs. Anything that was big, I would go for it. I eventually go, well, as you probably already know, I did Rosemary Topping a few weeks ago, which was get out my chair and actually clamber to the top and drag my chair up there. Anyway, that's going past that.
So it's absolutely extraordinary that with those few dogged, determined runs to get up Green Lane and make that mile.
It took nearly 6 months to get to the top of that.
Right, 6 months?
It took me nearly 6 months,
now,
bit by
friends,
bit, inch by inch. It took some time, but we get there.
So I hope everybody's listening out there to this story of how this happens. Inch by inch, dogged inch by inch, and a lot of will, a lot of determination. And then he's wheelchairing up hills that most people can't even walk up. And then Tony takes a wheelchair, an off-road wheelchair, and last year you set a world record.
Well, it wasn't world, but it was a British record.
British record for wheelchairing yourself, not only from Land's End to John O'Groats, but on up to the tip of Orkney, single-handedly carrying all your kit in a wheelchair.
Shetland.
Shetland.
End of Shetland.
So,
last inhabited island in the UK.
So how did you go from that, just achieving that first mile, and then Rosebery Topping and Blue Bank? Why did you decide to go and do that long wheelchair endurance event? Because I know that before that you were going off to the Lake District and stopping traffic.
What it was, somebody said to me, I bet you can't do a coast to coast, Bash. I said, I bet I can. So I went coast to coast, and then somebody had to say, I bet you can't go end to end. I bet I can. And I went end to end. And on that, the one thing that inspired me to do that as well was I wanted to, with the wheelchair stuff, I wanted to do something for somebody else for some reason, for once in my life. what happened there? I've no idea. Because I've always been a selfish, horrible person that only looks after himself. But I decided that I was going to do something. So there was a young kid I saw in a wheelchair. I'd gone for some checkups or something at James Cook, and this little lass, she come up with this wheelchair, brand new wheelchair she had. She come up to me and says, "Oh, you see me new wheelchair, look at this." And it was lovely. It was all done with all these, all the wheels were all the spoke guards were all done with unicorns and little rainbows and little clouds. It was all blue and it was all lovely, and all the frame was done. And this was a custom made wheelchair, which cost thousands. And the charity that got her it was a charity called Whiz Kids. So I decided, you know, I had to go, really got to me, did that, and I had to go outside James Cook, and I spent a quarter of an hour looking at a wall because I had a lump in my throat. Oh, after talking to that young kid, and I thought, it's all right for me, I did this to myself. But a young kid, you know, when you're that age and you're going to spend the rest of your life in a wheelchair, what a thing to have to, you know, to get your head round. And I had to go outside and I looked at that wall for now for I dare move. Because I tell you what, if I'd have had to speak to anybody, I wouldn't have been able to do it. It was that choking. Wow. And I decided to do that. So I did that, the 1,300 miles, Land's End to Saxelaw, in the top end of Shetland, the last inhabited island in the UK. The only me and a barefoot walker ever got across that piece of land. And yeah, that was.
So you raised money for
raised
Whiz Kids,
money
but
for
you
the young
weren't
kids.
you weren't very well known then, and we're still trying to get you more publicity now because you're now raising money for military charities. But how much did you manage to raise for the Whiz Kids?
Oh, I think in the end, by the time we got the money from the YouTube, put a bit in, everybody else put it all together, it was about £7,000-8,000. I can't remember. Not a great deal, but it was also, remember, it's the awareness and it's getting that message across.
It was enough to more than buy another beautiful
wheelchair,
custom-made wheelchair for a
And if
little
we
kid.
made some little kid happy, we
Yeah.
made a kid happy.
That's fantastic.
That's what it's all.
So what are the two charities you're raising money for now?
Sorry?
What are the two charities you're raising money
The
for?
charities I'm raising for now is SSAFA and Talking2Minds. Two military organisations, and there is a reason why I feel that it's right for me to do this. So I don't want to explain my reason.
Yeah, go ahead.
My reason. Well, you know, the British Army have fought, I think there's only 2 years we haven't fought somewhere in the world about something. And there's only 2 years that the British Army's not been fighting over something. And I don't remember what years they are, so right. But we've fought in Northern Ireland, we've fought in Suez, we've been to, you name it around the world.
Afghanistan.
Oh, yeah, they're only recent.
The
You
Gulf.
go back and back and back in Korea
There's
and,
always been a
and
war.
go on and on and on. There's always been a conflict somewhere in the world. Now, my thing is, I've got a lot of my friends now have served in the military, and there's people like, well, a lad I'll name him, Mark Corporal Lines there that I know well. Now he, for no fault of his own, he jumped out the back of a truck leading a load of men in, I think he served out in the Falklands, and then, Germany, I think that happened to him, jumped out and he got trampled by his own men, and he ended up with his back broken, his pelvis, his legs, everything. And they put him together with a load of steel, and at the end of the day, he was a long-termer. And they said to him, well, there you go, there's a few bob, on you go, on your bike. And off he went, and he thought he had a bit of money then. Maybe paid him £20,000 or something. But in these days' terms, that's nothing. And he finds himself, he's not quite retired. But you see, all that stuff in his body he's got now, it's all the aches and pains and all the rest of it. Now he's coming back. There's nobody now wants to help him. Oh, no, you've had your pennies, off you go. No, there's nothing that we can do for you. And he said, there's another lad there, he got sugar diabetes, pensioned out. And he said to me one day, he says, do you know, Bash? He says, I'm penalised for having an army pension. He said, I'm actually worse off. And there's many others out there. So I think the military, it's a good thing that we raise awareness to these facts. That, you know, these boys have done the thing. I've met lads with no legs that have been blown up in Northern Ireland and stuff like that. And nobody wants to know. Not now. It's all forgotten about. And I think the awareness should be there. And I think it's a good reason to do it.
Absolutely. What a fantastic cause. And Tony, thanks for raising that awareness. I think it's really important. Help for heroes. So off he goes. I don't know where he'll be later or tomorrow, but we've agreed to meet up tomorrow so I can go and do a couple of things. But look at him. What an amazing guy. What a turnaround. Beautiful. Dear Tony, what a sweetheart. Who'd have thought when we were sweet 16 that we'd end up doing this together?